Okay, we're going to continue on with this Cantu Heavy Duty Pro 3 scan tool. This morning when I came to work, I did have the opportunity. I hooked it up to a newer Kenworth, okay? And I was thinking about what should I accomplish with this tool next. So one of the thoughts that occurred to me is that being a typical repair shop, general repair shop, what often happens is a vehicle comes in, and it's the nature of the beast, commercial motor vehicle, a heavy tractor trailer, and for example, it comes in, maybe the check engine light is on, whatever the problem is, I have to get in there fast because someplace along the line, I need to let the owner know, manager, dispatcher, whoever is in charge of that vehicle, to let them know at a minimum, are we going to have some issues? Is this vehicle going to be down? How long? Etc., etc. Main reason being is chances are pretty good that vehicle is committed to a load. So the faster I can come in there and the faster I can get back to my customer, they appreciate that because they understand there is a problem, but they also appreciate the fact that they can immediately change plans. They can reschedule, they can get another vehicle, whatever the case may be. So I figured this was an opportune time to show some of the features that this can do to make life easier. So for the sake of just doing something, you approach that vehicle, maybe the complaint was check engine light was on or whatever the case may be. What I decided to do was take some screenshots, okay? Because if you look over here, and you can get closer now, okay, or you're right there. You got it? All right. If you look over here, there is a camera over here. So what I did was anytime I come to a screen, if it's pertinent, I hit that camera and it saves those screen shots. So typically where you're going to wind up getting those screenshots is if you look over here, there's a data management button here, and I'm going to press that button now. Okay, so I deleted earlier ones, so I'm going to start highlighting it, and we'll walk through this slow. So one of the first things, of course, and this is a KW, plus at the same time, I'm trying to show you the value of the scan tool, of the type of information we can get out of there. So right off the bat, okay, if you notice, it's KW, vehicle information. I got the VIN number, model number, trip distances, total PTO hours. What's it got for an engine? It's got a Cummins for an engine, total vehicle distance, and so on and so on. Hey, fuel economy, 5.59. So that in itself is valuable information, especially, you know, you can go up to the owner and say, hey, listen, I can give you a lot of data on your vehicle here. So I'm going to get out of there and I'm going to go to the next screenshot. Okay. And this is just a continuation on the TV. I'm mirroring it. But over here, you just keep on scrolling up and down and you'll get it when you're live. Okay. Total idle fuel used, engine total hours, TPF. As you can see, I can keep on going on and on and on, and I mean it's endless to the amount of information you can gather from this vehicle. So I believe I left off over here. Another continuation, okay. ABS control status, cruise control, maximum vehicle speed limit, 65 miles an hour. Okay. Engine rated horsepower. Again, I have a lot of information and I'm going through it rapidly. So I believe we were in 3. We should be on number 4 now. Okay. Again, engine total, average fuel economy, whatever is there. You know, protect light, park light. I mean, some are going to be on, some are not. All depends on the vehicle that you have here. So now, I kept going. I kept taking these screenshots. Okay. And then you see again, select menu vehicle information. Okay. TPF, ash load, Diesel exhaust fluid tank level. Very, very important information, especially today with all the emissions problems we tend to have with these newer vehicles. So right off the bat, you have a great snapshot. So we're going to continue. Okay. Now, we finally get to that one page, and if you notice up here, J1939, diagnostic message. So what am I looking for? Okay. Of course, always if it came in for a issue, and usually the issue is, hey, my light is on, you're going to go over here to the active diagnostic trouble codes. The nice thing about trucks, especially if you got it in a 1939, is this guy right over here, pending DTCs. If you can go in there and you can get that type of information, it's kind of like a forewarning. Listen, this is your active one. However, is there a correlation between these two guys over here, the depending and the active? Or is this guy waiting over here to have another issue down the pike, even though you took care of that? Again, it's buttonology. You need to get in there. You need to get comfortable with that type of information. But as you can see, this scan tool does provide that type of information. So now, I'm losing track. I hope I didn't revisit something. Yes, I did. Sorry about that. Go to the next one. Okay. Previously active. Previously active. Pending. Me personally, if I was on that vehicle, I'd be hitting every one of those buttons just to see what I was coming up with. Only takes a few seconds. Buttonology. So, timers, DTC to lamp association, command tests, diagnostic data, clear reset for active DTCs. Freeze frame, very, very important. You had an active code. Just like you do on cars, you hit that freeze frame button, it's going to tell you when, how, what were the conditions as best as possible. It's another diagnostic tool for you. Monitor performance, readiness status. If you've worked on cars, it almost looks very, very similar to what you get on cars. So what I did was I hit a button, reset of active and previously active TTCs. So right now, of course, I didn't go through the process portion of it, but what it's doing is right now looking for a whole huge history of any activity pertaining to codes. Okay. Cal information, intake exhaust conditions, you name it, it's in there. I went on my actual data for that, and you can see, line it all up. The other day, if I hit that graphic button, it would go into graphic mode. And scroll up again. What do I do? Fast scan. DTC display. Diagnostic reports. I can revisit vehicle information. And I'm going page by page by page. Breaking it up. Do I want to look at the engine? How about the brake system controller? And keep in mind too that any given vehicle that you have today with commercial vehicles, you might have your brakes, chassis, engine controllers. Not as many as cars, but the one unique thing about truck systems is you could have a Kenworth, it could have a Cummins engine, it could have a Allison transmission, Eaton transmission, could have a WAPCO brake, and so on and so on. So we have all these different manufacturers, and they're trying to be controlled by this J1939, which makes it very, very nice. So where did I leave off? I just did that. There we go. This is where I'm trying to head to. I left off with the previous that you have so many different controllers. So this particular scan tool, okay, as long as it's a truck, okay, you're going to get involved with ABS, stability control, and so on and so on. Okay? Why I'm heading for this direction is that something happened back in the 1990s. Okay, ABS became mandatory in these vehicles. March 1st, 1997, tractors. March 1st, 1998, all straight trucks, trailers, and buses. March 1st, 1999, hydraulic brakes vehicles 10,000 pounds or heavier. Well, they've been around for the longest time, and they never really were any type of an issue for annual inspections, federal annual inspections, until I mentioned in my previous video that I did, that I believe it was June or July of 2016, it went into what we call Appendix G, and it became part of the federal annual inspections. So now we're in a situation where we have to go and fix these things in order for it to pass or get a sticker, whatever each state does, okay? Now, the reason I highlighted this is I do a lot of training. Some of the trainings I do is brake trainings, but I also do a lot of driver trainings. Pre-trip, post-trip, usually they take a good half a day. So for example, in this classroom here, I'll have a bunch of drivers over here. One of the issues is when I go through and do pre-trip, post-trip, the discussion always inadvertently gets to ABS. And I don't want to, I'm trying to be very diplomatic, but one of the issues that always comes up, these drivers go a little bananas. What happens is they're on the road and they get subjected to roadside inspections. So when that ABS light comes on, they know they're responsible somewhat up to a point. I'm not going to get into the CSA points and everything. They will take it to a shop, their fleet, or wherever they go, and somebody's supposed to take care of that ABS so-called light. Okay, so they'll drop it off, they'll pick it up next morning, the light is out. Hour into the trip, the light is on again. They'll take it back again, light is on again, take it back again. And the technicians don't realize that we have such a huge bridge or chasm to cross. We don't usually walk in each other's shoes. So to the drivers, it leaves a bad taste. So consequently, when I do brake trainings, one of my modules is ABS, and I bring that up. And I get guys from all over the state, different shops and everything. And there's a lot of guys that do not want to, or they're not comfortable working on ABS. One of the things is, well, I can't get in there. I don't have proprietary tools and stuff. When it comes to trucks, and I already mentioned to you in 1997, 98, and so on, you have to have those in your vehicles. When it comes to trucks, chances are pretty good, and this KW is a perfect example. I go in there, and of course, I looked up in the history codes. Presently, there was no codes, but you notice this particular vehicle did have an ABS issue. Okay? So now, a little bit about ABS. So I'm able to go in there. I'm able to look at it. There are software when it comes to this ABS that you can purchase. WAPCO Toolbox, for example, you have to purchase it, okay? So maybe you're not the type of shop, well, I get some ABS stuff, but I kind of muddle through it. I don't want to purchase that, and so on and so on and so on. The easiest thing to do is you have the scan tool, you get your code, okay? And I'm going to put this down a little. You can back up a little, okay, because I want to hold this up. Now if you back out, can you back out a little? You got it? Okay. So now, with this book here, you can download this. This is a perfect sample. It's a WAPCO, Analog Braking System, ABS, Electronic Stability Control. And if you notice, and she'll bring it back close for a second in a minute, just keep it in mind over here, there's a SPN90, FMI2. All you have to do is you go in this book, and I tab this, okay? And what happens is, in this book, you look up the codes, and it'll tell you, it'll walk you through what should you do. So for example, this is an erratic, intermittent. I would be looking for issues like maybe a wheel bearing, stuff like that. Maybe something wrong with a toner ring, you know. But the most common issues that we have out there tend to be wheel speed sensors. This is where we get in trouble. Don't try cleaning them. If you suspect a wheel speed sensors, they're usually like $70 or so. It doesn't matter. They're not that expensive. Just change the thing, okay? I try to tell everybody, if you change the wheel speed sensor, get that little extension, okay? Just change it. And even if you get this code over here, erratic, this is where your next tool comes in handy. You just go out there, you get your digital volt ohm meter. If it's a sensor, it should be anywhere from 700 to 3000 ohms. You can actually pick up the wheel, get it off the ground, spin it, put it on AC voltage. You should get some AC voltage. If you don't have any of that happening, or they're out of spec, change the thing for that kind of money. But what happens is, this is where we get in a problem. You move the connector for an extension cord, and you put that sensor in. 2 days later, you have an issue again. Those extension cords that come with these sensors, they're extra, of course. They're like 15, 20 bucks, whatever, and they're long. You don't have to. You don't even have to be rocket science. They come in various lengths. You get a longer one, loop it around. My point is that if you're going to do something, fix it and do it correctly. It shouldn't be rocket science. And this particular scan tool got you in really nice and told you what it is, and let's go for it. So now I'm going to hit the next screen. Lena, if you want to click it over here again. So now I really lost my train of thought, but we'll get back on it. So again, if this was a present and I had some faults and I hit read the fault code, chances are pretty good that that fault will come on because it's on that J1939 line. So now I'm going to skip a little bit. So if I went in there and I got the data, and if you notice over here, I was able to get this data. I'm still on the Kenworth side over here. I'm not in the analog brake system, but you can see all sorts of stuff here. ASR, analog braking active, okay, brake pedal position, ABS, blah, 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 this, all right? So what happens is, here's a perfect example. The next screen is, you know what? Let me graph it, okay? If you notice over here, relative speed, front axle, left wheel, relative speed here, here, and so on. You put those on, and the nice thing about that is you have this portable little scan tool here. Take a ride. So if you got 4 wheels over there, put them on there, see if they're all spinning, see if something drops out. I grant you this is not a lab scope, okay, but you should still see a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to back out of here again, okay? So this time, okay, I went back and I went to my original side box over here asking me what do I want to get into. If you remember from the previous ones, It's vehicle diagnostics. Again, I mentioned the agriculture machine, diesel engine. We played around a little with the Cummins last time. This time I'm going to hit that ABS over here. So I hit the ABS. Again, I can do it as a standalone. WAPCO system, ABS. But with version E, okay? I can do a lot of stuff. I can read the ECU information, and that's exactly, excuse me, what the toolbox would do in WAPCO. It would initially come up with all your information. I can read the faults. I can go into live data. I can erase those faults. I can do actuation tests, special function, and it's limitless to what you can do in here for not having the original toolbox. So now, the same thing over here. So I'm still in my ABS section. I'm looking at live data, battery voltage, wheel front axle, left, right. It just goes on and on and on and on. And again, remember on the previous one, I'm not going to do it right now, but right now, pick. Again, pick your wheel speeds, graph it, and you're going to have them all lined up over there. Go for a ride, all right? You can actually go into actuation tests, select a lamp, turn it on, off, okay? Nice little thing is, hey, my lamp doesn't seem to come on, something isn't happening. You know what? Let me see if I can command it on. Is there an issue? You know, am I having a communication problem, and so on and so on. So now, the whole idea of this, you can back it out now. Okay? The whole idea of what I just did with the TV screen, doing the buttonology, we're back to the same thing. I want to get in there fast. I want to perform my job timely, so I can get paid, of course. And this has the capabilities of doing all of those. Again, it isn't the biggest, hugest laptop type, but for me to go in there conveniently, it's rugged. I could probably drop it. You know, I often do that with our digital voltmeters, like a fluke. Throw it up in the air, usually don't get hurt. So you can see it's very rugged. And that's another beauty part of it, that I can go and walk around and be a little bit more mobile with this thing. But again, let me leave it off with this. Don't be afraid of tackling any job. Don't be one of those, well, I'm not quite sure if I can do this, can't do that. All you got to do is hook up and try. That's that overcoming that fear, crossing that wall. Just do it, and I'll guarantee you eventually you're going to hit the buttonology. Hit enough buttons, you're not going to hurt anything, and boy, will you be a hero if you next time you fix a vehicle. So again, until next time, thank you. You can shut it off.